Hey, eighth grade. So your learning target today is related to skating. And it's going to be that I can calculate a POI using tables and graphs. So we're looking for a point of intersection or when it costs the same amount of time or same amount of money at the same amount of time. So you are in charge of organizing a skating party. Your goal is to find the cheapest cost per person. You can choose from the following three places. So option one is you can go to this place called Rock and Roll. It does cost $100 per group. So no matter what, at the beginning you have to pay $100, and then you pay $3 per person that walks through the door. So there's a beginning amount of $100, and $3 would be your slope on that. Or there's option two, which is called Great Skate. That's just $5 per person, no upfront fee. And then 3 is called Fun Skate. It's $280 for up to 60 people. But then it's $2 for each additional person after that. So once you get to person number 281, you're going to pay $2 for each additional person from that point on. So number one, write an equation that represents the cost at each place. So let's take a look at, first of all, at rock and roll. So if we really think of y equals mx plus b for all these scenarios, where b is our beginning amount or y-intercept and m is our slope, we would say in the first scenario for a rock and roll, that it would be y equals $3 per person, so 3x plus 100 at the beginning. So our equation would be y equals mx plus b, or 3x plus 100. And now for Great Skate. Great Skate does not have a b value at all. The b is actually 0, though. You don't have to pay anything at the beginning for Great Skate. However, you do pay $5 per person, so there's your slope. So for Great Skate, we'd have y equals 5x. Kind of a plus 0 is happening there, or it actually is happening there, but we would just write y equals 5x. Just $5 per person, no matter how many people you bring. And finally, Fun Skate. For Fun Skate, it's just y equals 280. That's the cost. But once we exceed 60 people, it's going to change. So we're talking about when the number of people x is less than or equal to 60, we pay 280. But then something else happens when the people exceed 60. And we're going to wait to do that till after we graph. So we know that this happens for sure. That's going to be exactly $280 if we have less than or equal to 60 people. But then what happens if we exceed 60 people? And we're going to hit that equation after we graph. Okay, so in our table down below, the cost at rock and roll. So we're going to do rock and roll first. So let's go ahead and talk about what we said at rock and roll. For rock and roll, we said that the cost was going to be 3x plus 100. So $100 at the beginning and $3 per person. Okay. Actually, I'm going to erase that and write that in purple so that my colors kind of match there. So you can just hold tight for a second. Y equals 3x plus 100. All right. So what if we bring 5 people? Well, 5 people, $3 a person is $15 plus 100 at the beginning. So 3 times 5 is 15 plus 100 is $115. What if we bring 10 people? Well, 3 times 10 is 30, and 30 plus 100 is 130. So we're going to keep working through that scenario. We're going to input this x value, the number of people, into that equation. And we're going to work it all the way down the table. As you work down the table, you'll start to see a pattern, and you're definitely able to just use that pattern to fill out the entire table. All right, so I'm going to start working through that right now as we go. And you can do that at the same time. Now, if you need to have the sub pause the video right now, go ahead and have the sub pause the video if it's going too fast. Otherwise, I'm going to keep writing numbers as I work down the table. So you should notice that the pattern is going by 15. So I'm going to keep writing. So it's going to get kind of quiet right now in the video. You're probably like, thankfully, she's quiet for a second. And just keep on plugging away. So as you're working down this table for cost at rock and roll, so I'm just inputting these X values all the way in for X, $3 per person and $100 at the beginning. And then I started to notice a pattern that I'm increasing by $15 every time I add 5 people, because $5 times 3 is 15. So there's my table. It works from $115 as the least amount. And if we brought 100 people, it costs us $400 total, because we have that beginning amount of 100. So that's the cost at rock and roll. If at any point you need to pause the video, go ahead and tell the sub, ask very politely and respectfully for the sub to pause the video. Otherwise, I'm going to move on to the next one called Great Skate. So Great Skate is the middle column here. And it's y equals 5x for Great Skate. So we don't have a beginning amount for Great Skate. It doesn't really matter how many people we bring. There isn't a beginning charge. It's just going to cost us $5 for every person that goes. So if we bring 5 people, we pay $5 a person is $25. We bring 10 people, $10 times 5 is $50, and so on. And just keep on going on down. So we bring 15 people, 15 times 5 is $75. We bring 20 people, 20 times 5 is $100, and you maybe start to see the pattern that we're increasing by $25 every time because it's $5 for 5 people. The video is going to get kind of quiet now. So everybody's working through that table right now. This is the quietest video I think I've ever made. Whoops, I made a mistake there. So you're looking either for a pattern or you just keep substituting into that equation. If it's going too fast, go ahead and ask that sub to pause that video. Ah! Having trouble with this pen. So you can see the finishing amount is going to be $500. So if we were to bring 100 people to this place called Great Skate, it's going to cost us $500. So you can see that that's $100 more than the first place called Rock and Roll. So we're going to have to make some decisions about that. Of where should we go? I'm going to erase these ones in the middle because they're a little bit sloppy. So you're just catching up there. Again, if you need to pause the video, very respectfully, politely ask the sub to pause the video. So we want to know how much it cost and how much does it cost at each place, and when would it make most sense to go to each of the places, depending on the number of people we bring. Then there's a place called Fun Skate. And Fun Skate costs exactly $280 up to 60 people. So we have our 60 people here. Here's our 60. It's going to cost us $280 all the way to here. And then things start to change after that. So up to 60 people, it's exactly $280. But then after that, after this happens, we are going to pay $2 for each additional person. But so from here to here, we have 5 people that we're bringing. We have to pay $2 for each of those people. Would be $10. So it's going to be another $10 is $290. I think I'm going to change the color here. Okay, and so again, in this next section, it's $2 for each person, and we're bringing another 5 people. So that's another $10 that we're adding here is $300. And we're going to do that again. We're going to keep saying $2 for each person, and it's another 5 people, so that's $310. So we're increasing actually by $10, $2 per person for 5 people in each of the increments. So then it's $320. That's $330. That's $340. That's $350. And then it's $360 because each one of these is $2 for every 5 people, and each jump is 5 people. Okay, so if we look at the bottom, you can see that clearly Fun Skate is the cheapest if we bring 100 people. So what we're going to do now, if you have a highlighter, it would be really great to go ahead and grab that. So go ahead, I'll give you a chance to grab one out of any of your stuff there if you have a highlighter. Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to highlight where it's the cheapest for each place, okay? So I have multiple colors of highlighters. You do not probably have that option. If you don't have a highlighter, just use your pencil and just put a box around it instead. So if we started 5 people, where is it the cheapest to skate? It looks like the middle place called Great Skate is clearly the cheapest. So cheapest for 5 people. Where's the cheapest for 10 people? Great Skate. Where's the cheapest for 15 people? Great Skate. And so on. 20 people, cheapest, 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 cheapest. I'm like annoying you probably right now. Cheapest. Now, pause. We have a tie. We clearly have a tie at 50 people. At 50 people, we have a tie between these two locations. It doesn't matter if we bring 50 people. If we go to Rock and Roll or Great Skate, it's going to cost the same. Fun Skate, though, still would cost more, $280. Okay, so now picking up here, keep in mind that this endpoint over on the left this is still $280 all the way to 60 people. So still more expensive. So 55 people, where's the cheapest at 55 people? At 55 people, we would say this place here called Rock and Roll, cheaper. What about at 60 people? At 60 people, we actually have a tie at 60 people. It's $280 here, and it's $280 there. Tie. Then what happens? At 65 people, who's the cheapest? My choices are $295, $325, or $290. We're going to say cheaper, 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 cheaper all the way at that point. So those of you that did not have a highlighter, your paper should look something like this. Cheaper, Great Skate. From 0 to 50 people, cheaper. Rock and Roll, cheaper. From 50 to 60 people. Again, if you don't have a highlighter, this is what your paper should look something like. Cheaper at this place called Fun Skate from 65 or where when we have over 60 people. Okay, so that's kind of how it works. So let's go ahead and do some graphing now. You're going to want to open up your packet so they're back to back. So go ahead and open the packet. So you have the table on the left, you have your graph on the right. Table on the left, graph on the right. So you have your table and you have your graph. So you're going to need a title. So we're going to say, call it Skate Party. Again, you should have your packet open, table on left, graph on right. So for the skate party, it looks like our cost ranges from $25 is the cheapest amount to $500 is the most expensive. So on my scale over here, I have to range for that amount. So I'm going to go ahead and start at 0, and I'm going to go by increments of 25. So 25, 50, 75, 100, and so on. So I'm going to scale by 25s. Go ahead and check that out on the left. And we're talking over on the y-axis here is how much does it cost? That's our y-axis variable. Y-axis is saying how much is it going to cost to skate at each of these places? Okay, so everybody's working through that right now. You're going up by 25s. No, I didn't write all the numbers here because it got a little bit crammed. So this is 25, 50, 75, 125, and so on. I kind of skipped every other line with writing because it was too tight in there. But that really is a scale of 25 there. Everybody's scaling by 25. I'm just pausing, letting you get caught up there. 25, 50, 75, and so on. Now, the number of people there on the x-axis ranges from 0 people to 100 people. So on the x-axis, we have number of people. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm a little tight on space here. So I'm going to scale by 5s. But I'm not going to write every number because it's a little cramped. So 0, 5, 10, 15, scaling by 5s. We're going to go from 0 people as our minimum to 100 people as our maximum. 0, 5, 10, 15, and so on. Go ahead and ask that sub to very respectfully and politely pause the video if I'm going too fast. Otherwise, I'm going to give a slight pause right now It'll be quiet for a second here as you catch up, going by fives. Again, so if it's too fast, ask the sub to pause the video. Otherwise, I'm going to start talking again here as we go. How do I shrink that? I want to shrink that. I'm trying to shrink this, but I can't get it to work. So, all right. So let's start with rock and roll. I'm going to do all my graphing in blue. If you were able to color code, that'd be sweet. But if you can't, that's fine too. So as we graph in blue, I'm going to graph for that place called rock and roll. So rock and roll, my first data point is at 5 people, $115. So 5 people, 115 is a kind of a guessing game there. 5, 115. Okay. 10 people, 130. So over to 10 people, up to 130, a little bit of a guessing game. 15 people, over 15, up to 145. The bummer of this is you're guessing kind of all the way through. 20 people is 160. 25 people is 175. 30 people is 190. 35 people is 205. 40 people is 220. 45 people, 235. 50 people is 250. 55 people, 265. Again, if I'm going too fast, ask the sub to politely pause that video. 60 people is 280. Over to 60 people, up to 280. Kind of a guessing game there as well. 65 people is 295. 65 people, up 295. You're guessing it out. 70 people, over to 70 people, up to 310, kind of guessing. You should notice a pattern, however. Should be making a straight line because it is linear. 75 people is 325. Yeah, I'm going to like that one. That one hits at a nice intersection. 75 people, 325. 80 people is 340. 85 people is 355. 90 people is 370. 95 is 385. 100 people is 400. So you have this nice line here, nice straight line. And this is the place called rock and roll. So this is called rock and roll. Now I'm going to go ahead and quietly pause for just a second. It is a complete guessing game there. So if you're behind a little bit, I'll give you a chance to catch up. I'm just going to be quiet on the video. All right, moving on to the next place. Again, if I'm going too fast, I'm going to pause that video. But we're going to move into the middle column now and talk about what does it cost at Great Skate. Now, Great Skate is just $5 per person. So we should really be starting at 0 because there isn't a beginning amount. So Great Skate is just $5 per person, no fee at all at the beginning. This one's going to be a much nicer one to graph because we're going by fives. We're scaling by fives up our y-axis, and it costs $5 per person. So we're going to like this one. So 5 people go, 25 bucks, nice data point there, super sweet. 10 people go, $50. 10 people, 50 bucks, nice data point. This one's gonna be sweet to graph. Over 15 people, up 75 bucks. 15 people, 75 bucks. 20 people is $100. Over 20 people, up 100. Okay, I'll slow down a little bit so you can catch up. $25 people is $125. Over to 25, up 125. And you're going to start to see this nice pattern here. Nice straight line pattern. You can keep graphing it out. This is a place that we called, I forget these all confused now. It's called Great Skates. Just $5 a person. You notice it starts at 0. Nice straight line there. You can see that there is a clear intersection that's happening. Go ahead and catch up there. Okay, so you can see that rock and roll is the blue line on my screen. It is more expensive for a while as you go. You can see that Great Skate at the beginning is definitely a better deal, but once they intersect, then rock and roll actually becomes cheaper at some point. So we're going to take a specific look at that as we go. All right, so the last place is called Fun Skate. So here's the deal with Fun Skate. Fun Skate is $280 up to 60 people. So here's kind of the magic number, this 60 people here. Up to this point right here, Great Skate costs $280 all the way. All the way through, $280. Great Skate. Oh man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. $280 all the way. So the beauty of this one is we're going to be able to draw a nice straight line there all the way at $280. So there's no change in cost for all these people. But once we hit 60, things start to change. So once we get to 65 people, we saw 65 people is $290 because we're going to pay $2 for each additional person. So another 5 people, $2 a piece is $290. So 65 people, $290. We're going to guess at that a little bit. A little bit of a guessing game there. 70 people is $300. That'll be a nice one to graph. 70 people is a nice $300 there. 80 people is 320, so we go to 80 up to 320. A little bit of a guessing game, as you can see. 85 people is 330. 85 people, 330. 90 people is 340. 95 people is 350. 100 people is 360, so a little bit greater than. So it's a nice straight line. Sorry about my mess here on the screen. I'm trying my best. And then it starts to increase in cost. And this is called Fun Skate. So it's $280 all the way here. And then when we hit 60 people, it starts to increase again in price. All right, so we have lots of POIs that are going on here. You can see that there are some intersection points happening. Okay, so let's go down and kind of talk about, or let's go to the next piece and kind of talk about what we've seen so far. So we have, sorry, trying to find the screen I'm looking for here. Here we go. For number 4, for how many people is it better to take the group to rock and roll? So let's go back. You can look at your table there. You can look at your graph. When is it cheaper? It's cheaper to go to rock and roll from 50 to 60 people. That range of 50 to 60 people cheaper. So we talked about that there is a tie happening. We have this tie that's happening right here. 50 people, same price. But between 50 and 60 people, so at 60 people we said tie. Between 50 and 60, it is definitely cheaper to go to Rock and Roll. Then, after that, we say, when is it cheaper to go to Great Skate? Well, Great Skate is cheaper from 0 up to 50 people. Because 50, we have a tie. 0 to 50 people, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Fun Skate. Fun Skate is cheaper for 60 or more people. Now, it's a tie at 60, but 60 or more people. So now these are just words that we're using here of when it's cheaper, just using kind of common sense language. So, but mathematically speaking, we should always write them in terms of an inequality with some less than, greater than symbols. So we're saying for Rock and Roll up here is really the number of people has to be between 50 and 60. And we learned back earlier in the year that this would be an inequality, saying it could be exactly equal to 50 because it's tied at 50. Doesn't matter. Can be exactly equal to 60 because it's tied at 60, doesn't matter. But between 50 and 60, this is the cheaper place to go for sure. Cheaper. So we're saying that that is definitely cheaper. Now, Great Skate is cheaper from 0 to 50 people. We've identified that 0 to 50. We do clearly, there's a tie at 50, so it doesn't matter. But if the number of people is between 0 and 50, it's cheaper to go to Great Skate. I'm going to have to erase that because it's stuck to my pen here. Cheaper to go to Great Skate. All right, and now Fun Skate. So Fun Skate is cheaper with 60 or more people. So when we have the number of people exceeding 60 or more, definitely go to Fun Skate, much cheaper. So some questions to answer. Where would you go if 28 people are in your group? So 28 people. So where would 28 fit? Where should you go? So it's cheaper if you have 50 to 60 people to go here. Oops, this is supposed to be a 50. So it's 28 people, you should go to Great Skate. Cheaper, Great Skate. 50 people. Well, 50 people, we've already said that there is a tie for 50 people. You could either go to Great Skate or you can go to Rock and Roll. So Great Skate or Rock and Roll at 50 people. What about 57 people? So 57 people is kind of in the middle of both of these ranges. So let's go ahead and try that out once. So 57 people, we kind of have two choices for 57 people. Rock and Roll, or you could try Great Skate. Well, Rock and Roll. Rock and Roll equation is Rock and Roll's equation is y equals 3x plus 100. Let's try it out. What happens with 57 people? We have $3 for 57 people and $100 at the beginning. Gives us a total of, go ahead and type that in. Everybody should be typing that in. Everybody should be typing that in. So we get $271. $271. Great Skate. What about Great Skate for 57 people? Well, Great Skate is y equals 5x. So $5 for 57 people. Go ahead and type that in. $5, 57 people. That's $285. So it's cheaper at Rock and Roll for 57 people, just using our equations. Rock and Roll would be the cheaper of the two. What about 60 people? 60 people is a tie. We said it was a tie. It's $280. Either one of these places. So Rock and Roll, it's a tie. Or Fun Skate, doesn't matter. It's a tie. They intersect there. What about 118 people? 118 people, seriously, for sure, is cheaper to go to Fun Skate. Okay, so now, I know this is a super long video. Your homework for tonight is to do the same thing, but we're going to compare movie theaters instead on the next 2 pages. Exact same process. Look for patterns, which one's cheaper, write the equations. So you should be doing that on page 3 and page 4 tonight. Page 3 and 4, the movie party analogy, you have about 15-20 minutes left of class today to get that done. It is due tomorrow. Have a fabulous night, 8th